Afternoon, everybody. Hope you all are doing well today. It's Thursday. The week's almost over. It's exciting. It's a good thing if the week does actually end for those of you 7-day-a-week cowboys out there. So the question is whose pricing is right? Is Xactimate pricing right? Is ITEL pricing right? Is your pricing right? Is a third-party reviewer's pricing right? Whose pricing is right? And why? That's a big question that we need to answer in our industry. So you got tons of people from the outside, all with different opinions about whose price is right. And no, this is not a game show. The price is right, because the price is not right. And I think all of us in the industry know that if you're downloading a price list, that it's not even a good place to start most of the time. So we'll start with Xactimate. Even if you put in the reviews and you complete an estimate and you send it into Xactimate and Xactware and their pricing department goes through it, I'm going to imagine that price change, say lumber goes up in a period of 2 to 3 weeks, and you got to do a board up. Not even build back. Your cost for a board up is going to be more money. Is Xactimate going to reference that money and that change? Are they going to see changes in market shifts and actually increase their pricing in accordance with what's going on in the industry? I don't think so. That stuff takes forever, and most of the pricing that we're seeing, especially the hourly rates, are about 2 to 3 years behind where they should be. Especially considering the fact right now we have people sitting at home collecting unemployment checks. I mean, down here in Florida, I don't know what it is in other states. It's a little over $600, close to like $650 a week. Someone gets to sit on their ass at home and not be a contributing member to society. Makes it really hard to hire people. Really, really hard. Because it equates to around $15 an hour base cost for anybody. And I'll tell you this, that used to be $10 an hour not too long ago. And I have not seen a 50% increase in the price of labor go up in any of these systems in accordance to that. So how are these prices actually going to be effectively changed for us? It's a good question, and I don't have the answer for you. But what I do know is that the prices on these price lists do not represent what you're going to be charging. Your price is different every single place depending on where you live. If you live in Indiana, it's probably a little bit cheaper for living, but that doesn't mean that the price of materials are less. So some would argue that it's, your hourly wages should be less and or something like that. There's a lot of arguments. I'm not here to lay them all out on the table. But the system is completely broken. And it's kind of crazy to me because only in the insurance damage repair world that we live in do you see people taking your prices, which are already low, and more or less trying to make them even lower. Worst part is it's not necessarily about what the job should be. It's simply about hey, can you work with me? I just need to go back to my bosses and tell them I saved them a little bit of money because, hey, that's how we keep people happy, right? And you want to get paid quick by us and I'll cut you a check tomorrow type shit. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. And that doesn't keep us in business. So that's Xactimate for you. Pricing system that is completely flawed, and the system is amazing. Its power to create an estimate if you input the right data is uncomparable by any other in the industry. So highly recommend everybody using the system, but I highly, highly discourage anybody from downloading their price lists and using them as the standard price list for your company. Because I can tell you a first-year business, cost of doing business is a lot less than a business that's been in business for over 10 years. So every single different company in our industry has a different overhead. Some may be close, some may be way far off, but that changes our cost of doing business. And you need to make sure that as a smart business owner, you're reflecting your costs and effectively charging what you need to charge in order to hit your margins that you're trying to hit. On the flip side, it's kind of crazy to me that I see in one group everyone talking about how they don't make enough money off everything and there's not enough profitability and they can't scrape by and pay their techs without overhead and profit. And I'm not going to get into whether or not you should charge overhead and profit. But then I see in other groups that someone's sitting here saying, is it standard for a 75% profit margin. So it kind of makes me wonder, if everyone's getting 75% profit margin, how are you not making any money without the 10 and 10? Because God knows 10 and 10 isn't 75%. So I'm a little confused on the that there are some very flip-flop sides of things, and that does not make us look good, especially when you're looking from the outside. So remember that. Then you got ITEL. ITEL is the craziest shit in the world. If the insurance carrier is paying for it, likely it's going to be one price. If you send it in and the insurance carrier is not paying for it, there's a potential that it could be a different price. More or less, can't tell you which way, one way or the other. But I've seen it happen all the time. If you send in two different ones, if it's carrier paid for versus if it's paid for by the contractor or the customer, if you will, you get two different prices for the same material. That's just wild to me. But it's another tool that the insurance carriers are using in order to antiquate a cost to be able to beat us up a little bit. So, it is what it is. But you don't have to allow this, because it's easier to find a replacement material and prove the actual cost. But it takes a little bit more work than taking a sample and mailing it. Taking a sample and mailing it takes a couple minutes. Finding a replacement material that is the proper cost to be able to justify to the carrier, that's a whole nother story. But it takes a little bit more effort. But much more covers the loss. ITEL, we could go into that for days. Third party adjusting, third party reviews, third party, all this bullshit that these third parties are doing. The worst part is that some of you guys out here that are on here that are call yourself restoration contractors are accepting money and payment from the insurance company to go lowball your fellow restorers. And I will tell you this, anybody who does that, you're not a restorer. You are literally just out there to make the next buck. Somebody offers you to do a gutter job, you'll probably take a gutter job. Somebody asks you to come and serve them some dinner, you'll probably be their caterer the next week. There are differences between restorers and people who just chase the checks. Either way, I'm going to try to wrap this up here real quick. These are our issues that we face, and we got to deal with them. I hope everybody has an opportunity to listen to some of this. Maybe I'm just venting and it's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts, if you agree, don't agree. But either way, I hope everybody out there is not just using the system, because the system is against us. I'm going to be talking about a systemic problem coming up here in one of my next videos. It's the AOB. I've been dead set against the AOB since before I even started NORP. It was actually one of the main reasons I started NORP, because I was working for another organization and they were allowing a lawyer to come push the AOB through their educational events, and it basically spread the AOB throughout Florida like a cancer, and now we're where we are. And I see that about to take place again in another organization, and I'm a member of them, and I'm a little concerned personally about where the future of the industry could go if, in fact, the group itself or the organization or association actually gets behind the idea of pushing AOBs or it being the best idea for contractors. I just don't think it's something an association should push. If you want to use that, talk to a lawyer and do it on your own, but that's a whole nother video. Either way, guys, what's the right price and who's charging the right price and whose price is right? I think that your price is right, and make sure you stand behind your price, justify it, and keep charging it. And if prices go up, you charge more. That's it. But don't do it in an unjustified manner. There's some consultants out here just telling you to raise your prices by 25% just because. Just raise your prices by 25% just because. No, not just because. If you can't back it up with math, don't do it. Either way, guys, hope everyone's having an amazing week, crushing it, making the most of everything. I'll talk to you soon.